recording.
I think so.
So I guess the intro music's playing right now.
Do-do-do-do.
Elisa, and everyone at home, welcome to The Wardrobe. This is the Who You Know podcast. I'm Rylan and
And I'm Elisa Wildy.
We've got a great show for you today. First, we're going to be talking about some new equipment that we got, which the YouTube viewers may already be noticing. We're also going to play a little game. It's just some questions on cards. Don't get too excited. Actually, it'll be a lot of fun, I think. And we're going to talk a bit about aging and some other interesting spin-off conversations around that. So hope you're all looking forward to it. Should we jump in and talk about the new equipment?
Yes, it's exciting. Hopefully you already guessed what it was.
Yeah, so we got a new camera. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's probably looking a lot clearer than what we've had in the past. We found a good deal on a new camera. We're very excited about it. But they're not sponsoring us, so we're not going to say exactly what camera it is. But feel free to reach out if you want to know.
I'm thinking there'll be less color correction already based on what I'm seeing on the screen, too.
Yeah,
so
I'm
hopefully.
Like looking at our little monitor. It just looks so much more bright. And I can actually see like the curls in your hair.
Yep, I don't have to add color to our faces.
Right. I mean, you can still do that to me if you want. But like being able to distinguish like your hair from the background
yes,
is a huge improvement.
The detail.
Yeah. Before you were like a face kind of coming out of the darkness.
With fuzz.
At least before like the editing process.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully this saves time in editing and also looks a lot better for those of you at home. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it looks great. So did you want to go in and play a game first, or would you rather talk about aging first? I feel like we could be more lighthearted or more serious.
I feel like I'm in a lighthearted mood. Let's jump into these question cards. So these are from like a couples thing. So we're going to be like editing some of these if they're like too couple focused and make it more non-coupley. So like, let me just flip to a random one.
Okay.
Some of these I already spoiled for myself because it took some time to set up the new camera. Ooh, Elisa. We wanted to keep it lighthearted, but unfortunately I'm asking this question. What? So what anger, hurt, or pain do you need to let go of? Be real with me here.
I feel like I'm pretty good at letting go of things, so I'm trying to think of what's built up. This is a hard one. I don't think I have anything major.
All right, what's your minor pain that you're not letting go of?
I feel like the only thing is, trying to think of how to word it too. Recently, I feel like I've been disappointed in myself at work. So maybe the pain is like me being down on myself when I shouldn't be, and or learning how to fix it. But I feel like I just need to let that go and be like, I'm trying my hardest because it's probably causing me pain that I shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. That's all I got.
Do you find like your productivity kind of ebbs and flows?
Sort of. I don't know, actually. I feel like I'm pretty consistent in like, I'm consistent as in like, okay, it's Friday now. I'm less productive on Fridays maybe, but I feel like my productivity is the same. I will say, I mentioned this last night to Dan. So this might be part of the reason is I have like a lot of different things coming at me at once. And when that happens, I have a harder time focusing on getting one done, or like I'll be working on one and all of a sudden get an email for something else I'm working on, and then I look at the email and then I do that, and then I have to go back to this later and figure out where I was.
So like maybe a mixture of being like overwhelmed or distracted.
Yeah, a mixture of those two maybe at the same time, and so then it feels like I don't get as much done during the day, probably because I've never really considered myself this, but I thought about it more. I might be more of like a finisher or like achiever when it comes to work. So like I actually feel productive when I get stuff done. And maybe I am being productive. It's just little steps that doesn't feel like I got anywhere on a bunch of little things.
Do you find that you enjoy work more when you like lay out the steps and are able to like cross them off as you complete them?
Yeah, I do that a lot. I have like
yeah.
I have an insane amount of notes that I look at every day. That is actually what helps me try to stay focused. So like I said, I kind of jump around. And so when I'm doing that, I try to be aware and I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to write a list. I'm doing this first and then I'm doing this and then I'm doing this. So like I do have to write that out for myself during the day if I find myself getting distracted.
Yeah.
It helps me a lot, but some people just have a natural where they can only do something when they're doing it and just can't focus on anything else. And that's not me.
Good answer. 5 points.
Out of 5?
All right. What do you got for me?
Should I do a random one or should I do the one I already looked at?
I think you should go random.
Yeah. Okay. We're skipping this one. Let me know if you want to skip this one. As long as
I refuse
you've said
to
this
skip
before.
it.
When you say I love you, what does that mean to you?
When I've said I love you, what does that mean to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it depends on like who I'm saying it to sometimes.
I can see that.
Part of it is like I care for you as a human being and want to do what I can to like enrich your life. I don't know. Okay, hold on. Maybe I need to take a step back and really think about this one. There's like trying to like put this into words is hard because there's like a feeling associated with anytime that I've like genuinely loved someone in whatever context, like there's like a warmth that I feel that it's like this emotional like sensation, like just like a warmth extending from me to that person. And what that means depends on like what that relationship is, like family member, spouse, like etc. But that sensation is always the same.
Yeah.
There's always that same like extension of warmth from me to that person.
Do you think that's like a natural sensation, like it occurs naturally versus maybe that's what I think it is? So that's how I'm wording the question. But like, why does that sensation happen? Maybe
I think I need more of an explanation of that question. Physiologically, why does it happen? Or are you asking something else?
Yeah, like why do you think we get that feeling? Because I'm thinking of like,
this is tough.
I don't know. Yeah, this is a tough question to ask too. Because I'm thinking of like, it doesn't happen when any old person just like walks up to you,
right? And
so, how does it get to that feeling over time? Maybe
sometimes it's something that grows over time. Sometimes it happens quickly. Sometimes it seems to be based on nothing. Sometimes it's like a collection of mannerisms that the person has that suddenly triggers that feeling. Sometimes it's like something they do. I don't know. It seems to come from so many different places, but it's always like that same like warmth extending toward them.
Because now I'm even thinking of it as like humans versus pets in the life too. There's definitely different reasons that warmth gets felt. I'm trying to think of another. Love is a verb, right?
You got to
like
give me
another verb that you could say sometimes. You kind of said care.
Yeah,
I like the
like
care.
That warm feeling definitely has some like caring aspect to it.
Yeah.
This is a good one. I feel like we could explore this for a while. But how many points do I get for that answer?
5.
Just 5?
I don't know. I don't know the scale. I'm just copying you.
Okay. Let's move on. What is something that happened today that made you feel really good? And what is something that happened today that made you feel bad?
Man, we're not that far into the day.
No, it's like barely the afternoon.
What made me feel good? Probably I woke up. A lot of times, like on the weekend, like when we're recording, I'll wake up and just plan to come here after I wake up. Like basically I wake up, be lazy until I need to get ready and then leave. What was the wording of the question again? Something that made me feel good.
You know what? Can we skip this one?
Yeah.
Okay. If you could go back and relive one day of your life, what day would you pick and why?
There's this memory that I always have where my volleyball team, when I was like 16 years old, we went to like a nationals tournament in Orlando. But I think one of the days, it must have been like the day after we were done playing, we went to Universal, whatever the one that's not Universal Studios is called. I think it's called Adventure Island. I'm not sure. But for some reason, like the funnest day of my life always comes back to that day. And I feel like it's because I was with this group of people that I really, really enjoyed being around like all the time. And it's like the last time you can be around those people. But it was like one of the funnest ways to spend with them is doing all those fun things. And I don't even like roller coasters. So like I didn't do much of that with them, but there's other people who also didn't. So we just like stood and talked, and just that like day of having fun together, celebrating what we just went through. It was one of the funnest moments. So I think I'd rather go back, and relive like one of the funnest days.
Sounds awesome.
I took it maybe at first, like, what day do I want to go back so that I can make a different decision or a change in my life?
Oh.
But then I was like, nah, I think it's just if I live that same day over again, what would I want? I miss that type of like volleyball team stuff a lot in my adulthood.
Is like part of why you do volleyball to try to recapture some of that?
I think it's more of the competitiveness in me. I don't actually like show my competitiveness a lot, but that's one way that I get that feeling. I, for some reason, like the feeling of being competitive because when I started dating Dan, like he watched a ton of sports on TV, for example, and like that really got me going. So like watching a football game and getting into it, or like going, I don't get that into basketball games. When I go to a game live, I like get really into it, and I like want that feeling again of like wanting to win or accomplish something. So that's what I like. Cause even this year, like I wanted to do more competitive volleyball because I just want that feeling of accomplishment more, maybe is what the competitiveness gets out of it for me. I get out of whatever. I get
the
a feeling of accomplishment.
Gets out of feeling of accomplishment gets you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to listen to that again to see if that made sense.
It won't. Okay. 10 points.
Okay. We'll see what this one gets you. I'm going to be thinking more about the point system than your answer now. What do you think are the secrets to being a good listener?
Secrets to being a good listener.
And how could you improve your listening skills?
I think part of it is like, you can't treat it as just like something to respond to. You have to think about like why the person is saying what they're saying, because it's typically based on like something important to them. Or if they're trying to like just communicate information, then that's something else entirely. But like if somebody's telling you something, it's important to them generally. And I like to think about like this person is bringing up this topic. If it's important to them, like how do I dig deeper into that to like try to understand them better? That gets me like more engaged with what they're saying, because half the time it's not going to be something that's important to me on its own, but the person is generally important to me. And so knowing that like the topic is important to them helps me like lock into it and then discuss with them.
That makes me wonder if you're talking to a less important person to you, how do you still be a good listener?
It's very rare that somebody's like not
engaging,
important in some way to me.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Or like I'm thinking, what if it's like a cashier at the grocery store? Is that still the
they're
same
also
level
generally
of,
not bringing up something that I need to like be an active listener for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes somebody will like just talk, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But that's pretty uncommon. So I don't know. I don't know if like the improved listening is as useful in like those situations. But yeah, if somebody's like sharing something with me, even if it's a total stranger, I'm generally really curious about like them. By extension, then I try to be curious about what they're saying.
So then how could you improve your listening skills?
Okay, so that was like one thing that I do to like engage with what somebody's saying. I've heard like other tips too. I don't know if they're worth following, but like, I was probably just browsing Reddit or something, but somebody like brought up like the ask 2 questions before you offer your own like insight into something.
That's something. Well,
so like get like try to explore like two pieces of information with somebody before you like offer your own piece of information. So like try to like have that ratio, and that makes for like a good conversation. I don't know if that makes for good listening, so maybe I'm not answering the question as well. But.
I think it could, because then you're like extracting more from them. It's also like an understanding. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm interlacing listening versus understanding too.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're listening well, then you're understanding what the person's saying. So I think it makes sense to kind of have those two tied together. Like
I'm almost like I don't have a lot of questions to ask about it. And now you said the ask two before saying something thing, and I'm like, what else can I ask? Okay. You opened some insights for me. I'll give you 12 points.
Really? Whoa. Okay. I guess I'm winning. If you were going to write a book about your life, what would the title be? I'll let you decide whether it's your life so far or your life in total.
Let me think about this for a second, because I have like a general topic idea. This is hard. I'm not good with words, so thinking of a title is hard, but I'll kind of go with what my first thoughts were. I thought of like, I don't like the words I'm picking. That's why I'm pausing so much. Flowing, for example. Because I really do think I don't take a lot in internally, like anger and pain, which is good. And I feel like that shows in my life and the way that I've lived my life. And so I'm just kind of flowing along with what is thrown at me. But then again, there's still some like journey with that, where like I'm still like choosing what I want to do, and I'm really adamant about like I want to do something that's going to make me enjoy life and not just like be stuck in something I don't enjoy doing. So like if I didn't like my job,
that seems like a long title for a book.
That's why I'm explaining the title, Flowing.
Okay.
I don't love the title. It can use some more thought. But I want to say that that also fits in to like my future life, because that's what I want it to be like still, is where
you want to have things flow past you. You want to float on that river. You want to just like go with it.
Yeah.
And be cool with everything.
Yeah. I want to be chill, relaxed, but enjoying life as I go. Have some challenges, maybe even self-imposed challenges, but just like enjoy what I'm doing. I don't know.
When you go to water parks, do you like the lazy river?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. I also just like to lay in the sun. So like I love laying in the sun. And so those things are my jam. I don't love crazy like water slides or anything.
Right. Or roller coasters.
I don't like adventure.
Yeah. You don't like adventure?
No, I do like adventure.
Okay.
That was a joke. Just different kinds of adventure.
Flowing. All right.
Sure, yeah.
All right. 5 points.
Okay. Okay. You kind of said a similar question, but this is different. Share a recent dream. What did you dream about, and was it in color?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you about my dream last night. I mean, it's nothing like special, but okay, here we go. My dream last night, I was at my parents' house, my childhood house, but I was like an adult. I went to sleep in my like childhood bedroom, but there's like a big box in the room. I don't remember what was in the box, but like it's hard to. A big box. It was like a long rectangle, and yeah, I don't remember what was in it, but I was like worried that a spider was in it. But I went to sleep anyway, and I woke up halfway through the night, and there was like a huge, thick, like triangle-shaped spider web branching off from like the corner of the box to the ceiling. But like I was too tired to like get out of the room, and I fell back asleep. And then I woke up in the morning, and the web had grown. So it was like the triangle web up to the ceiling, but then there were like drapes of webs throughout like across the entire ceiling. And the spider had caught, it was like lots of like little bugs, but then there was like one bee that was like like as big as a hot dog. And the bee was still like kind of alive, but like, you know, it like the spider had bit it and it was like dying of the paralysis or whatever. And it was just kind of like twitching in the web. And I just spent like in the dream experience, it was like I spent minutes like looking around the room for the spider, but could never find it. I never saw the spider anytime in the dream. I just saw like the evidence of its activity.
How old were you in the dream, do you think?
I think I was an adult.
Yeah. Okay. Like where you
I don't know if that was like, there's nothing that made me think that I was a kid. So I just took it as though I were an adult.
What was your feeling about the dream when you woke up?
I woke up thinking like, I wasn't as scared as I would be in real life if I were around a spider. Because I get really freaked out in real life. But in the dream world, like I could tell I was tense, but I wasn't like super scared. So I didn't think much of it. I just kind of woke up and I was like, oh, that was a icky dream.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah.
And I don't normally have like...
I was going to say, you didn't have like an encounter that day that would have made you?
I don't normally have like bad dreams in general. Yeah, and this one was just kind of like out of nowhere. I had like a freaky spider dream.
Was it in color? Was also the question.
Oh, right. Yes.
Okay. How often do you have dreams that you remember? Like in a week or a month or I don't know. Frequency.
Maybe like once a week.
Okay. As I'm imagining your dream.
And when you ask about like whether I remember it, sometimes it's like I'll just remember it for like half an hour in the morning. Yeah. But like the memories of dreams tend to fade really quickly for me.
Yep.
Unless I like talk about it. Now I'm going to remember this one for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like I have a similar experience as you. Not the same dream, but like once a week, forget it fast unless I talk about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered a dream journal?
I used to track my dreams when I was in like high school.
What was the reason?
And I would like interpret people's dreams and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, did you have a book or like online? I say a book, but like if you dreamed about a snake, that meant blah.
I want to say yes, but I can't remember well enough to know any specifics. So.
Okay. I was wondering if you made up your own reasonings more than reasonings that have been written out.
I know that I looked something up. Okay. I don't know if it was online or like a physical book.
Okay.
But yeah, I had some kind of other source that I used. Yeah. Okay. I had some like, wow, these are old memories, yo. I remember something saying like if there's a gun in a dream, that's like symbolic of authority figures. I just don't remember if I like read that in a book or saw it online or what.
I've always been interested in like maybe the psychological background of dreams, but not as much to get into it or write about my own. Too time consuming for me.
Sure.
To track.
Oh. What is something you can never get enough of in your relationship with Dan?
I'll say quality time. Just thinking about like love languages. I don't even know if that's one of my love languages, but I was talking with a friend like a week ago about this, and her relationship is the opposite. So like her boyfriend is like how I act in a relationship. And so it's like, it's almost like you always want attention, but it's not really attention. It's like you always want to be doing something with the other person. Like I just feel like that's something where if we spent the whole day together one-on-one, I still don't think I would be sick of it and would like appreciate more time with him. And not that we don't do it a lot. It's just like, it's something that I feel like I'll never be overwhelmed with if we have too much of it.
Do you mean actually like doing the same activity together, or
Yes.
is it okay? So like if you're both on the couch, but one of you's reading a book and the other one's watching TV, that doesn't count.
Right.
Okay.
Because we do that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be more like I'd rather play a game over that. But still, I do like the feeling of being in the same room. I say that I'm like a cat because our cat wants to be in the same room as us everywhere we go. And that's kind of me, where like if I'm not doing anything, I kind of like just end up in the same room as him. And I'm like, I don't even like want to be interacting with you necessarily, but I get that like feeling of relaxation maybe, or like stress-free. I don't know. It's a good feeling.
Like a comfort?
Yes, that's a good word.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of a good word. It's like a comfortable feeling. Whereas if I was in a room by myself, I'm trying to think of the difference in feelings. If I was in a room by myself, I would just kind of feel Or
Okay.
like, I just don't like being by myself, maybe. I am probably attached in some way.
Yeah, Chen and I, we enjoy the quality time. And in fact, when I had COVID and I was just like down in the basement playing Elden Ring all day, every day, it was hard not just being around each other. But for us, like, I can be doing something totally different on the couch than what she's doing. Like, she'll be watching, I don't know, a Korean soap opera, and I'll be like playing on my laptop. But that, like, there's a comfort to that that I don't get even when I'm just like one floor down in the basement and she's upstairs. Like,
yeah, even like a phone conversation just doesn't feel the same to me. I feel like it's a presence thing.
yeah. Okay. 20 points. Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm
Nailed it.
creeping up. I don't like that one.
Are the ones you're
Ooh.
skipping, or are they just like super relationshipy?
Some of them were. This one was just like, I don't feel like talking about it in front of a camera. This
Okay,
one,
okay.
it was a little more personal. Okay, so this one, we'll see what comes of this. It has been said that waiting time is not wasted time. Waiting can build patience and endurance. What is something you are patiently waiting for today? And what is something you could do to bring it about in the future?
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's like complicated, I feel. Waiting time is not wasted time. Waiting can build patience and endurance. You know, I've talked about meditation a lot. When I got COVID, it totally threw off my meditation practice. And it's been really hard to meditate for the past, I guess it's been 3 or 4 weeks. Basically, ever since I got COVID, it's been like, it's so hard now to meditate. I'm just kind of like waiting for it to click back to normal, you know? Like, I'm still setting aside the time to meditate. It's just like nothing's working,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I'm not like dipping into that alternative consciousness state. And yeah, I think that's like, waiting time is not wasted time. Yeah, I think like, you know, it reminds me of like when I started meditating and I was just like basically sitting there and getting frequently distracted in my head and like unable to actually like reach those consciousness states.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm back to that, which is kind of like a bummer feeling. But I also don't feel like it's wasted time because I feel like I've walked the path before. It's like I know with repeated practice, like eventually it'll come back.
What do you think you're getting out of kind of like repeating that same building up?
I don't know if I will get anything out of repeating it, but also, you know, it might be one of those things that I won't know until it happens again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've also found like I get a lot of benefit out of like switching to different meditative techniques. Like the novelty of like a new technique is sometimes beneficial. So, you know, maybe this is also like a sign that I need to like switch something up again. But yeah, I think that's like what I'm waiting for right now. Basically like meditating every day and just like nothing's happening. So
I like it. Yeah. I didn't think of that. 16.
Whoa, okay. Who do you trust the most? This actually says, whom do you trust the most? But I think that's incorrect grammar. Okay, ignore the whom.
Sorry.
Answer the question.
Thinking back to my ACT days. I mean, I was going to say probably Dan, but also like...
Maybe whom is correct. Am I wrong?
I used to have like a thing I always thought of to know exactly what it was, but I can't think of what my little tool is. Who are you?
I know, like, if you say to, like, to whom do you refer?
Yeah, I feel like
proper.
it's the subject.
You know
Object.
what?
I feel like it's like the object is whom.
I think this isn't a good podcast conversation.
I really want to know, though.
Who do you trust the most? Maybe Dan?
Yeah, but then like my mom also comes up, or just like family in general. But I'm thinking of like it's almost like who can I rely on too, and like my mom or dad would be there whenever I need it, or like tell me, like when I think of trust, maybe I'm also thinking of who will give me a straight up opinion. I feel like my mom most definitely will.
Interesting.
so I can trust her to like be honest if I say I could tell her a problem I'm having. So like, for example, this week, there were a bunch of cars being towed out of our apartment parking lot, and I was pretty upset about it. And so I didn't know if I was being crazy. And so I started messaging a bunch of people, and like Dan was just kind of like, oh my God, this really bothers you, blah, blah, blah. It's just kind of like a casual, but I asked my mom because I knew she would have like a reasonable like opinion on if I was freaking out about it. And I will say she was like, yeah, that seems weird, blah, blah, blah. Like she went on about it. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm okay for being crazy right now on like having an opinion about whether this is right or wrong. I feel like she would be someone I could trust on like an honest, down to earth opinion or feedback on something. Whereas Dan is probably always going to tell me what I want to hear. So like, I can't always trust what he says about like, which shoes should I wear? Either look fine. I don't think so.
I think that's different than how Chen and I operate. We're pretty honest about stuff like that with each other. Yeah.
Sometimes I tell Dan, I'm like, all right, I don't want to hear the nice answer. I just want to know. You're the only person around right now that can tell me or something like that.
Yeah. 30 points.
Oh my gosh. Racking them up here.
I think we've got enough content. Okay. These cards.
So moving on.
Yeah, let's move on. Because we said we were going to talk about aging. And this is fun.
We did say it.
But, we did say what we said.
Oh boy. Aging.
All right. Kick it off.
Not something I love to talk about.
Oh, why's that?
I feel like I've said this on a couple episodes before, but I just have this like fear of aging. I just don't like getting older.
So what part of it though?
The fact that I'm not the same as I was like 5 years ago or even 10 years ago or etc. I feel like there's some good and bad things about stages where I'm at, but there's some things that I like wish weren't gone with age. Like.
And yet you claim to go with the flow.
I do. All right, new title of the book is Flowing Without Aging. Because I don't know. I feel like my prime age that I would want to be forever is like 22-ish, like right out of college type of age.
No.
And see, that's where I feel like I was, I don't know, at my best self, my best person. I don't know. Not that I like don't love where I am right now, but like there's some things back then that I could probably do that I can't do now. And it's not that I'm limiting myself now because I still want to be like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. But it just feels different than when I was a younger age. For example, I cannot have a drink without needing a ton of water the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just little things about my body that I'm like, or something that does like bother me probably deep down inside is like when maybe someone a couple years younger than me probably looks at me like I'm a couple years older than them. And that like bothers me a little bit. Or it's kind of like I want to be on the same level, but I know I'm not.
Yeah.
Or even like, for example, when I coached middle school volleyball, they probably, like when I was in middle school, like you gravitate towards younger people. And I'm always questioning myself, when am I going to hit that age that's like, they don't look at me the same anymore?
Yeah. I think, like, did you feel, like, let's think about like the Billie Eilish concert.
Yes.
Did you feel like an older person there? Or did that not quite reach that threshold?
So it really depends on the demographic that's there also, because there have been concerts where I felt old. Like I went to an AJR concert in like 2019 and it was filled with high schoolers.
Wait, AJR?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like my favorite group of music.
Is it literally just those letters? You're not abbreviating something? Okay.
No, it does stand for their names though, Adam, Jack, and Ryan.
Okay.
But it's a group of 3 guys that make music. Okay. It was a bunch of high schoolers. And so I felt a little old, but then again, that wasn't a bad feeling because it felt like I had matured and I wasn't at that same level of like immaturity that they were at. So like I didn't feel as bad then. But like at this last concert, I'm trying to think of what I felt like, because I think I did look at like our picture that we took at the concert and I was like wondering what it looked like to other people. I'm like, do I look like I'm these like adults trying to fit into a younger crowd, or does it look normal? And I was like, it felt normal when I was in it, but I was kind of like wondering how other people might look at it. Probably because I was debating about sharing it with like our team, because every month we do like a share of what we did this month. But
you were also like in the stands. Do you think you would have felt differently maybe if you were in like the general standing area?
Yeah, because I'm thinking that's probably a younger crowd down there. Mm-hmm. I probably would have felt a little older, but I think I still would have enjoyed it just the same.
Sure.
So maybe I think I am really good at enjoying things without worrying. It's maybe like after the fact that I worry about like, what did that look like? But when I'm in the moment, like I'm loving it and not afraid to do it because I'm the age I am. Not that I should be afraid of the age I am either, but like.
Yeah, I very much want to like keep enjoying the things I enjoy, even when I'm, in my 50s and my 80s. And like, if that means going to a concert, even though I'm like definitely the old guy there, like I just want to keep enjoying stuff.
Yeah. I'm concerned that what if that goes away as I don't want it to, but I feel like sometimes it just gradually like distance itself and I don't know how. So I'm going to try not to change myself with age, depending on the situation. I'm not going to run a marathon because I can't run one now. So I probably won't when I'm old. Do you get feelings of aging? And
I do. I'm trying to think like it doesn't like come up for me very often, but I noticed recently, like there's a clothing brand that I really like, who I would love for them to sponsor us. But there's a clothing brand that I really like, and it's definitely like when you look at the clothes, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely some like younger person stuff. And like Zendaya wore it in some promo shots for Euphoria. But I found myself excited when like I saw in their Instagram pictures that like a lot of times they'll have older aged models like wearing it. Like guys with like a full head of gray hair. It looks to be like in their, maybe late 50s or something. Yeah. But still like, good shape, a model. And I was like, oh, cool. Like they are appreciative of the fact that like they could have like multi-generational like fashion going on here. And like I found myself excited about that, which was curious for me because I don't think about aging very often. Mm-hmm. But then like this thing snuck in and was like, oh, maybe you do. And you just don't know it. So
subconsciously.
Yeah. And it made me feel like, oh, even more of a supporter of this clothing brand. Cause I'm like, oh, I can't age out of this for like decades.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was interesting for me. I think there is like I like being cool. And not saying that I necessarily am all the time, but like there's I don't want to be out of touch or like lose sight of the important things in life. And I feel like this is something that like a lot of younger people appreciate more. Willingness to take risks in order to experience something. Mm-hmm. I feel like that is something that a lot of people lose with age.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose that. And so there's a part of me that wants to like maintain that. And I think I've done a good job of doing so. And I think that's like I used to think of myself as like an old soul in a young person's body. But now that I'm nearing like middle ages, I think more of myself as somebody who's like managing to like hold on to his inner child as he ages. And I'm happy about that. And I think I want to like, I feel like I'm not stringing these thoughts together very well, but all that to say, like, I don't want to get too rigid in my life. Like, I don't want to be just like a person who goes to work to provide for his family and has a couple hobbies and that's how he goes through life. I want to be a person who also like introduces new experiences regularly into his life and broadens his horizons, is open-minded about like changes to society.
Good one.
Yeah, like I guess that's how like I'm trying to gracefully age.
As you've been saying that, I feel like the one that I just said was a good one, open to change. Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought of ways, or I find myself with the problem of like, I want to do this when I'm older. How am I going to remember that I said that? And how am I going to hold myself accountable when I get there? Like,
can you give me an example?
Well, like, let's say your openness to change, but then once you reach a certain age, you're like, well, that's going to be worse for me in my old age. So I'm going to say no to that change, even though it might benefit like other people.
Are you thinking like, I don't know, like political, like what to vote on kind of questions?
Yeah. So I'm like, if we don't want to get into that far, but like, I feel like at a certain point, at least to me, it seems like once you've hit a certain age, you get a little more selfish because you've made it this far and like you only have so much time left. You want to enjoy the rest of your years.
I don't know. I mean, part of this might be like we obviously have like a profession that sets us up well to enjoy life from like the financial side. Mm-hmm. When I think about like things to vote on, I don't know if I can talk about this without like this is hard to skirt around. Like so for the people at home, so you know, like in our profession, we are taught not to give like public statements on political issues. Like we're supposed to be unbiased in how we do our work, and part of like maintaining that unbiasedness is not putting out public statements about stuff like that. So that's why this is kind of like a tricky one to talk about. But I don't think I think too much about like how things impact me personally.
Okay, yeah.
I think more about like what's best for the country.
Okay, yeah.
That kind of thing.
But yeah, I was wondering like how maybe I want to take the angle of more like how you're going to hold yourself accountable to keep doing these things that you say you're going to do as you're aging. I don't even know the answer to it though, because like that's something I worry about for myself. Like,
how do I maintain my openness to experiences and risk taking?
Yeah, maybe the risk taking we can focus on too.
Risk taking's like interesting. Yeah, I'll give an example. Like when I go to live music shows, I wear earplugs now.
Yeah.
And that's because I've damaged my hearing from going to so many live shows without earplugs that now I have permanent ringing in my ears. So, like, part of aging for me is figuring out what things I can do to, like, mitigate the harm that I take on from the experiences that I want, instead of, like, I could envision like some person deciding never to go to a show because they don't want to like damage their hearing. Well, you know, there are other ways to get around that. And sometimes that means like not looking as cool. So like, obviously it doesn't look as cool to like wear earplugs because people can see them sticking out. But for me, like being willing to like let go of like looking cool so that I can keep like experiencing things. So that's kind of like how I approach things. And like with travel, I'm not just like flying to a country and kind of winging it. I'm thinking like, you know, go to like a travel doctor, find out what vaccines I need to get to go to the country, kind of plotting out like where I'm going to visit in advance to make sure I'm not going into any like really rough areas while still making sure that I'm like engaging with the culture in the country.
Yeah. I like those ideas of like modifying the risk.
Yeah.
So that you can still experience the risk, maybe. I don't know if I want to call it the risk, but
still getting the experience, but like trying to mitigate the harm that I.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you say? Look less cool. Yeah. I feel like I've done that way more in my adult life now, where it's like maybe even in college, I would like make sure I loved my outfit every time I walked out that door, pretty much. Whereas now I'll be wearing like a red shirt with pink pants and I just go out. I'm going to go pick up my Panera. I don't care what I look like.
Yeah, I need to wear pajamas in public more often.
Yeah. Well, because now I'm just like, how is this going to affect me? Like if I see, I don't know. I guess I'm like, well, what if I saw my manager out and about when I look like that? I'm like, it probably depends on the situation. I don't think my manager would care, but I'm at that point where it's like, if that's what you care about, something should change. I don't know.
Do you feel like any of your mindset around that changed at all with COVID? Because you've got people like looking into your house every day over like virtual calls.
I would say I definitely did change the appearance of what they can see. But I'll also say that, and I've said this out loud to my team too, like I'm trying to normalize the like not getting my hair and my makeup done every day. Like I'll still look presentable, but you can tell I probably rolled out of bed an hour ago sometimes. But like I was like, this is how I look without doing up my hair or makeup every day. And so like I'm trying to make that more like normal. But then it's weird because when I do travel into the office and see people, I will get a lot more ready and presentable.
Right.
So it's kind of like I don't know. I have worn less dressy clothes when I go into the office because I'm like, well, I'd be at my computer in my room otherwise. It depends like what I'm doing that day. But yeah, it's changed. I was going to say I have changed the background that they see to make it look a little nicer maybe, but I've also dressed down more too, trying to make it more normal and cared less about like what clothes I'm wearing in front of people. So kind of two things. I don't want them to think I'm messy. Like my bed is behind me in my videos, so I have to make my bed every day, which is a good habit.
Oh yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Is that all for today? Did we touch on everything?
I think so. We had one other thing that we were thinking about talking about that's kind of related to the aging thing, but I think we should save it because I'm guessing, without evidence, that we just had a pretty great episode in total.
I bet so too. And, we haven't done this a while, but I think we're getting hungry.
I'm so hungry.
We have to cut it off.
My stomach has been like crying.
Yep. It tied down for the episode. You're welcome, guys.
Yeah. Do we have an outro that we've planned?
No, that's what I was trying to do is the hungry part.
Oh, right. Okay.
We don't have one.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.